All right. Hey, all right. Hello, YouTube. This is going to be a video on what the fuck I was going to talk about the last time, and this is part two. Do you know that thing? Do you know that thing George W. Bush does? You know George W. Bush. You know that thing he does sometimes where he'll be thinking about something and he's talking, and hell, he might even make sense once in a while, and then it's like his brain just closes out on him. Yeah, I just did that. So starting this over again, and finishing up on what I had to say about wrestling. I think Paul Heyman. What happened with Paul Heyman? And by the way, I want to say this, and anyone that knows anything about Paul Heyman knows the guy's a creative genius because not only did he have ECW to show for himself, but even under Stephanie McMahon and even writing with other people, including Dave Lagana, by the way. And I think Lagana is also very good at what he does. And there goes the whatever the fuck. He wrote with Dave Lagana, and Dave Lagana wrote a lot of this stuff, including the stuff with Al Wilson and Tori Wilson, Don Marie, and Don Marie marrying Tori Wilson's father, and the stuff with Tori and Don Marie in the hotel room and all that. Dave Lagana wrote that. He wrote a lot of stuff, and they had what was known at that time as the SmackDown 6, among other things. Well, anyways, so he wrote the SmackDown 6, Mysterio, Guerrero, and a number of people who were on SmackDown 2002, 2003. Lesnar's first run back when Lesnar was actually very entertaining before he came back and, well, hasn't done very much of anything other than, whatever. But he wrote that. He wrote the stuff with Taker and Vince in 2003. Sable, Tori, Don Marie and Tori, Billy Gunn and Jamie Noble and Don Marie, and or Nidia, and a bunch of different stuff that Heyman had his influence over, along with Lagana. Lagana had his handprints all over. So Heyman's intelligent and he's very creative, and of course he wrote ECW. He produced and managed and wrote for ECW that people still talk about to this day, even though it's been out of business for almost 20 years now, because the guy is very creative. So I don't buy for 1 minute that he's responsible for the shitty creative trend of WWE. And by the way, it's been an upward trend. It's gotten better over the last year, or a little bit more than a year now. Without question, you cannot deny that show is not better now than it was before he took it over and started writing. Because I remember that show was really, really bad. Feminism was worse. They used to slap a guy every week. The girls would slap a guy like every week, and they did that for like 5 fucking years. And the guy would just stand there like an idiot and just take it. Since Heyman has started writing it, they have not done that. The storylines make more sense. Most of them go somewhere. They started writing the Fiend story with the Bray Wyatt and the Bray Wyatt Funhouse or whatever the fuck. They hired Matt Hardy's don't work with them. Though I don't remember when they started doing that, but he started working with them. The broken Matt Hardy character. And they've done a number of things. Aleister Black has debuted. And the show has gotten better. I like the stuff with Otis and even Mandy Rose and Otis. I like Otis's character. And it seems like the show has gotten better. And I credit a lot of that to Paul Heyman. So I like Heyman. I think he has a lot to do with the positive content, what we have seen that has been entertaining on that show. I think Heyman has something to do with that. But I also think that's part of why Heyman left. I think Heyman probably just stepped down the same way Russo stepped down from not only WCW, basically, ultimately, he finally just said, fuck it, in 2000, and stepped down from WCW because he was concussed or he had a concussion. And he got tired of dealing with all this shit from the older wrestlers after Goldberg gave him a concussion. And everyone said, oh, well, you're trying to get rid of the older guys. And he wasn't trying to do that. He was trying to repackage them into a role that was more fitting for where they were in the company so that the younger guys could come up through the roster because he was trying to build the youth. And I think Heyman was also trying to do much of the same thing. He's talked about that before. And he stepped down from TNA in 2012 because he had to go through all these different filters of Bischoff and Heyman, and then Dixie Carter, the woman that ran TNA, to even produce or present the television that he wanted to do with the final script. So Russo finally just said, "Fuck it, I'm out of here." And I think that's what Heyman did. Heyman got tired of Vince McMahon and Stephanie and all these other people shooting down his ideals and turning them to shit. And he said, "Okay, then if you're not going to listen to me, then I'm out." And I think that's what happened with Heyman, because I got a job, and you're not about to fire Lesnar. So as long as he's here, I'm here, and I'll just do my show on TV. I have my role on TV, and I think that's what happened. But Heyman's very creative, and I think what happened was they broke his creative spirit. And I don't want to sound like an asshole or like some kind of ego fucking maniac almost, like, oh yeah, I'm so creative. But I do have a strong creative streak. Now, maybe it's a bad creative streak. Maybe my ideals suck. Maybe I'm not very positively creative, but I am creative. I have a lot of ideals. I'm always thinking. I write down ideals. I have notebooks and fucking things of ideals. I have been writing ideals since I was a child. I can't watch a wrestling show without thinking about how I would do it differently. What stories would I do? I have wrote down stories, books. I've written books. I have talked about and formed all kinds of ideals in my mind. I've created ideals for what a political party it could be, for political parties. I've come up with everything in the world having to do with my vision and my ideals for what things could be and what I would do differently and how I would do things. And it's nothing worse in the world than having someone step on your creative vision and tell you, no, you can't do that, and we're not going to use your ideal, or we're going to take your ideal and turn it into something totally different. And then meanwhile, by the way, whatever they're doing, in Paul Heyman's case, whatever they did or whatever they're doing, they're going to stick him with a buck for it. So if they do something stupid, they're going to stick him with the blame, with the buck for what the fuck they did. Because he's the head of creative, he's a writer. So no matter what they do, the buck stops at him, and he gets the blame for the bad ideals that they had. So he probably just said, "Fuck it, I quit," and I think that's what happened. But we'll see what happens and where they go and whether or not it becomes better or worse. But I know that Heyman has written a lot of television over the years, and I don't think he is very bad or particularly bad at it. So again, that's just my opinion, but we'll see. Okay, going forward, about politics. The Supreme Court finally, and this was something hard for me to believe they hadn't already done. And it's not like I didn't know this wasn't the case really at one time, like going back to like maybe even 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002, something like that. But it was hard for me to believe it was still the case until this day that you could fire a person because they were gay or transgender. Because I did not know that. And I can't imagine why or how that's very much different from firing someone for race or gender. And I certainly don't see how it's any different from firing somebody because of a religious group. Because even that's certainly, if nothing else, isn't it your choice to pick a religion? And I think you can't help what gender or sexual orientation you have or gender identity. But even if you could, you can pick you can choose your religion. So, but it's not that much different from firing a black guy or a woman or any other group. So how in the hell was this even possible, and why was it allowed and legal for this long? I would like to know. But also more importantly than that, and what I find very odd, is how is this not just anything different from an act of malice and basically a hate crime? Because you're basically just trying to deprive somebody of a livelihood or deprive somebody for the job. You're trying to deprive somebody of a job or fuck with their job. That's what you're doing. Because like any other fucking, like even with the bathroom laws, a Republican could argue, you know what, I don't like the ideal of my wife, or if I'm a woman, I don't want to be in there with a person that was born a male. You know what I'm saying? Or you could say, a parent could say, I don't want my children in there or someone like that. And that's a complete bullshit argument, and it's nonsense. And I don't agree with that. But how in the hell, but here's the difference. It is an argument. A bad argument, but an argument. How in the hell could you possibly argue in any way, shape, or form, possibly, that a person working at, say, a Burger King, who puts a cap on, gets behind a shelf, and takes your order, How in the hell is their being gay or transgender have any damn thing to do with their ability to do that job? It doesn't. It doesn't do anything. So if you fire them, because look, let's say they're gay, they don't know who the hell they're married to or who the hell they're banging on the weekends. They don't freaking know. Let's say they're transgender. They don't fucking know if they were born a woman or not. Like, even if they were maybe like, let's say you look like a guy. Well, there's women that look like guys. I mean, maybe you're just not attractive, That doesn't mean a damn thing. That doesn't mean anything at all, So it's like, and how the hell do you know unless you're digging up information on them and trying to find out everything possible about them just to fucking discriminate against somebody? And again, what fucking business is it of yours or anyone else what sexual orientation or gender identity they are or there is? It's none of your business whatsoever, and it doesn't affect their ability to do their job whatsoever. And they can do that job just as good as a straight person or a biological gender, somebody, a biological male or a biological female could. And it doesn't affect them one iota or one damn bit. And if you can fire somebody for that reason, then why the fuck can't you fire them for any other fucking reason? So I was almost, even in this country, as fucked up as it is, and this culture as fucked up as it is, I was almost shocked to find out that was still legal, even at this point in American history. And it's obscene, it's absurd, and I can't believe it almost. But they could do that, and until today or till yesterday now, they could do that, and it's shocking to me, and it's absolute and obscenely ridiculous, and this outright horseshit that they were able to do that. And then I also asked a question. I don't want to bring this into something else because it's not the same thing, and I want to get too much into it. But I asked a question about circumcision or male genital mutilation, and I asked the question of how is that still legal? And then you see this where you're still firing people for something that have nothing or has nothing to do with their ability to do their job. And then I answer that question because it's America, because nothing here makes any fucking sense whatsoever. And it's legal for the same damn reason, just because some other asshole said something was okay, and there's no logic or reason behind it whatsoever, and that's legal because that's legal, and this isn't because that's not. So you can't smoke a joint, but you can do this. Because you can go for his dick, you can fire that person because of who they are, but you can't smoke a joint, and you can't do this or do that. Like a woman can't trade sex for money if she wants to. For this reason, just because somebody made it up and somebody decided something was the way it was without any logic or common sense put into it whatsoever, and without any facts or any scientific method or reason or anything, just because we're America and we're a fucking land where nothing makes sense. And I guess that's about it. There's not really much more to talk about. They shot another black guy. The police did. Once again, for stupid reasons, no reason. They just shot a guy. And I'm sure that'll be turned into Confederate flags or some other thing that isn't going to stop police brutality, even though that should be the main issue. But for now, it is what it is. And that's all. T666.